President-elect Trump. Now, Neil Cavuto.
All right, just hearing those words, President-elect Trump still inciting demonstrations, and in the case of Portland, Oregon, escalating into outright riots right now. We've seen similar dust-ups in Miami, in Dallas, in Columbia, South Carolina, playing out across the country. But again, this is more the exception than the rule. I want to emphasize that. Welcome, everybody. You're watching yet another live weekend here. By the way, I should say I might have missed a couple of days this summer. With today's show, I have now made them all up. All right, so I don't want any lectures from any of you about taking time off. In the meantime, we're getting indications now that Donald Trump isn't taking much time off. He is putting pen to paper and meeting with key advisors to come up with a cabinet. We're told potentially sooner than most president-elects do. He wants to hit the ground running. Already signs we're getting about what he's going to put priorities on. And wouldn't you know, a lot of them are economic, which is, of course, our wheelbarrow. Now, in the meantime, let's get a sense of what to make of these protests. There's been growing calls that either Mr. Trump say something, President Obama, Hillary Clinton, maybe a combination of all the above, or maybe they let them just sort of sort this stuff out. With us now is Brunel Donald Shea, a very big backer of Donald Trump and National Diversity Coalition. Now, when you see this and what's been unfolding across the country, what do you say to those protesters not keen on the results?
You know, what I would say to them is, first of all, that we love them and that we know that they voted for Hillary Clinton, and, you know, we support peaceful protests. We understand that as Americans, we all have the right to express ourselves. That's what sets our country apart. But what I would say to them, many of them are young. There is a website that they can go to called greatagain.gov, and they should apply for employment. There's also a place there where they can share their ideas with our president-elect as well as our vice president-elect, that they should make sure that if they have a problem or a worry or a stress about what may go on in this administration, that they can actually apply for employment, a job to help steer the nation, to help the Vice President-elect Donald J. Trump and Mike Pence, our Vice Presidential-elect.
But I don't think they're interested in doing that. I'm not, you never know, I could be wrong, and you're a very kind and virtuous person. I think this is all, you know, they hate him. They don't like his policies. They're shocked that he won. They can't believe he won. And they're going to give him a hard time before he's had a chance to prove himself. Do you think that's right?
But you know, he's not the first president to be boycotted or you know, protested against, and he won't be the last president. You know, what I would say to them is that just be peaceful. Your fellow Americans are out there working every day just like, you know, you are. Their businesses should not be destroyed. Their cars and personal property should not be destroyed. Those are your fellow Americans. They're making money. They have to take care of their families as well. And so what I would just ask of my fellow Americans out there protesting, which is their right, just to do it peacefully and not with the violence. You know, don't hurt your own fellow Americans.
Well,
don't hurt your
fortunately,
country.
to your point, Brunel, that's been rare, but certainly in Portland. I don't know what's in the water out there, but it's been violent. But, you know, Brunel, last time I had you, last week, right before the election, you said something very profound. You always do when I have the pleasure of chatting, that African Americans, minorities in general, just aren't all that into Hillary Clinton now, and many of them are thinking about, or were then, Donald Trump. Now, she got minorities in overwhelming margins, but not nearly the margins that Barack Obama enjoyed, and it might have made a key difference, particularly with Hispanics in Florida, certainly made a big difference in Pennsylvania. Donald Trump getting the highest minority support we've seen since going back to Ronald Reagan for Republicans, but it could be even higher. What do you think minorities then will be waiting to see so that 4 years from now, the numbers might be still higher?
Let me tell you something. Donald Trump is our president-elect, is very perceptive and very shrewd. And that is the reason why he's moving so fast in making sure that our economic team hits the ground running. I believe I heard him do an interview, and he said that by 2020, he expects that he's done so well for poor people, minorities, that he will get 95% of the vote in 2020. And I believe that
well,
that is what
you think big. There is pressure on him, though, right? I mean, among any type of voters, white or black or anyone in between. I mean, there's a sense that, he wants to make America great again, and you want your president to think really big. But is there a fear you have that he's put himself and raised the bar such that that's going to be a tough task?
You know what? It's a tough task, but it's not impossible. He's Mr. Unstoppable. Remember, he wasn't supposed to be president. He wasn't supposed to be our president-elect. And, if God be for you, who can be against you? I believe that Donald J. Trump, our president-elect, and Mike Pence, our vice president-elect, they have the prayers of the people, many people who silently prayed for them and then vocally went into that voting booth and voted for them, voted them into office.
There was a hidden vote, or whatever you want to call it. And by the way, Brunel, as you know, this show was the only prominent show that I know. I like to consider myself a prominent show that predicted his victory.
You're a prominent man.
Well, that's how I roll. It's what I do, Brunel. But you know what else? Could I step back from this and what's going on? Do you think it's incumbent on the president or Hillary Clinton or even Donald Trump to come out, address these riots or disturbances, or let them, as I think one top law official said, work themselves out?
You know what? I thought that also that Hillary Clinton, our secretary, I believe that she should step forward and she should calm the fears and the hurt of her people that voted for her, just like I thought she should have come out the night that she conceded to come out and address them. I think that will smooth over a lot with them, as well as our president, maybe together, the both of them addressing the nation. Our young people need jobs. They need to know that they're not going to be forgotten, whether they voted for our president-elect and our vice president-elect or not. And I think that that's important, that they need to know that they have a voice. We have heard you. Our vice president-elect has heard you. Our president-elect, Donald J. Trump, has heard you. Now, what we're asking, I'm a lawyer and I'm a citizen. As you know, I'm the former vice chair of diversity outreach.
Because I wonder, just as a father, and I'm watching the kids who are protesting outside, their colleges. If that were my kid, I'd say, why aren't you in class? That's another story.
It'll pass. That's the thing. Everybody grieves differently.
You're absolutely right.
People hurt differently. And you have to give people the opportunity to get it out.
I just eat. When that happens, when I get depressed, I eat. But they're not. They found another.
Me, I get in my Bible and read, honey. That's what I do. I read and I start professing the favor of the Lord. And what I'll say to these young people, like I said, give them their chance. Let them grieve, not violently. If you're violent, that you're going to deal with the law. But if you're protesting peacefully,
get back to class.
If you're protesting peacefully, that's fine. Get back to class. Get back to your day. Get to that website. Go and click and put your information in and vote. And choose change.
All right, Brunel, always great having you.
Be a part of the change you want to see.
All right, thank you very much. It's been great having you throughout this whole.
I got a question for you, Mr. Cavuto.
Sure.
What kind of cheese do you like? Provolone, I heard.
Come on, provolone.
Miss
Where
Debbie?
are we going? Provolone. What are you talking about? Come on. All right.
Miss Debbie told me to ask you that.
She did, huh? Well, all right. So that's interesting.
She did.
But Brunel, by the way, I'd be remiss if I didn't wish you a happy pizza day. This is National Pizza Day.
Oh, I love pizza, honey.
Well,
I might be headed over to GGO's up north now.
There we go. Expand the pie. Expand the pie. Brunel, thank you very, very much. Great seeing you.
God bless you and God bless America.
To you as well. I noticed all the Fox and Friends guys, not one Italian-American among them, they're celebrating this day. Pam, my producer, hello, I don't see any pizzas. Anyway, I should let you know that a lot of, obviously when you elect someone to lead the country, everyone scrutinizes everything he says. That's happened to Donald Trump. He's getting very high marks on how he has handled himself, comported himself, but just how far does this go? This is absolutely Washington we're talking about here. And that was something he wanted to drain, right? A swamp. How does he go about that after this? I know we had a momentous week here, and we elected someone that most others thought didn't have a chance. Of course, we said in our coverage that he was going to get elected. That's fine. A momentous and all this. It's National Pizza Day. And no one has brought a pizza.
Yeah, oh, no. Neil, here you go. Here you go, right here. Come on. Pizza right here.
What do we have?
Here you go. We got a nice pizza. Oh, well, what's left of it?
It's cold.
Oh, sorry.
Did you guys have all the warm stuff?
Tip?
No tip for Colby. And look at this. Look, show everyone here. Guys, can you see this?
It's a big crew. It's a big crew.
Yeah, but I mean, there's...
That's all I got, I'm sorry. That's all I got.
Is this heart healthy? Is it? Because that's what I'm into.
Gluten-free, sugar-free, all of that.
No, I see pepperoni and sausage here.
Oh, well, hey.
Really? Okay, fine. Well, it is National Pizza Day, which bothered me at Fox and Friends when they were doing this because not an Italian-American among them. And it gets me mad. But in this segment, we have UVA Center for Politics, Larry Sabato, maybe to even this out. Larry, you obviously knew it was National Pizza Day, I assume, right?
Neil, not only did I know, I was counting on you to send me one. And so far, I've been disappointed. But it's only 10 a.m.
Yeah,
so
well,
it's possible
you're in Virginia,
that I'm going to
right?
receive it later today.
Do they make them like they do in New York? We kind of feel we own this turf.
Listen, I wanted one from Lombardi's. That's what I requested in advance, and obviously you didn't get the message. We're both of Italian descent.
Yes,
I thought you would have thought of that. I thought you would have been considerate enough.
Well, you were so rude to me
Lombardi's
during the entire campaign and dismissive with that professorial wave. But again, happy Pizza Day to you, my friend. What do you know, it's fun. I look at this because more or less to tell everyone, chill a little bit. I see all these uprisings and protests, some of them getting pretty wacky. All over an election where the people have spoken. You might not like it. It might not be your candidate. I know it's an American right to do this, but it is an American right to start, hurting property and hurting people. Is this something you would have expected with the Donald Trump victory? I mean, have we seen, obviously we've always seen riots and protests for presidents once they take office, the Vietnam War, et cetera. But anything like this for a newly elected president who's got some pretty weighty tasks to address?
Well, it seems a little early.
Yeah.
He won't take office until January 20th. Then it's perfectly okay to demonstrate and do your American thing. That's what we do. But this seems a little bit early. I always tell people every new president deserves a chance. Isn't that what we expect of our fellow citizens? Give a new president a chance. If he screws up, then you can go after him. But, give a new president a chance. I can remember in the past counter-inaugurals. There was one against Nixon in 1972, for example. But, that was at the inauguration. Obviously, people need to calm down.
And he was already president. And to your point, give this guy a chance. But,
yes.
As you remind me, and a great historian, I mean, the tone is important, and it began, obviously, with Donald Trump on election night and continued. I want you to listen to this and get your sense of how the tone has been established by our leaders. Take a listen.
Hillary has worked very long and very hard over a long period of time, and we owe her a major debt of gratitude for her service to our country. I mean that very sincerely. Now it's time for America to bind the wounds of division. We have to get together. Mr. President, it was a great honor being with you, and I look forward to being with you many, many more times in the future. Thank you.
And so we go. I mean, the wrath and the anger of the campaign dies down among the principles behind it. How long do you think that lasts?
Well, I hope it lasts until the inauguration at least, because he said the right things, she said the right things, President Obama said the right things. Hey, do you think it was easy for any of them to make nice?
You're right.
Of course
absolutely
not.
Right.
But they did it because it's our system, it's our process, it's our republic, and they knew that was their duty. That was their duty. And it's really our duty as citizens to calm down and to look at this in as broad a way as we can, understanding that, we're all Americans. It's still one country. I sure hope we don't have another civil war, Neil, because, Virginia and New York are a long way away, and I may never see you again.
And so you certainly won't get pizza. You certainly won't get pizza.
Well, I know I won't get pizza. I'm not even going to get it today on National Pizza Day, apparently.
No, not at all.
But no, I think things have started out well in terms of what President-elect Trump has said, what President Obama has said, what Secretary Clinton said. This is the way it has to be, and I hope others will join in because, we're not going to get through those 4 years otherwise. I mean, really.
They always argue, Larry, that we're
country.
a 50-50 country, and we're always going to have this divide, and I guess that is the case technically in polling and all. But it doesn't mean that the part that wins can't win over the part that does not, right?
Absolutely. And remember, there is such a thing as being a good winner and being a good loser. And I've been concerned that we're losing good sportsmanship, period. We're draining all the civility out of our society. One of the fundamentals is good sportsmanship. And that means that the winner extends his or her hand to the loser, and the loser takes the hand and sincerely shakes it, and they exchange good words, and maybe, just maybe, they can find 2 or 3 things in common to work together on.
There you go.
And Neil, this ought to apply to individuals too. Why not sit down with a couple of people from the other side and explain to me, please, why you supported X, whether it's Clinton or Trump. Have a discussion without yelling, without getting angry. That's a good start. I'm not saying it's going to resolve everything.
Well, I'll go so far as to say it's not going to happen. All right, so if we're going to, we have a National Pizza Day to try to deal with this, but don't push your luck, you know?
Neil, now that is cynical on your part. That's very, very cynical.
I'm just angry because I got cold pizza. That's it.
That's now you owe me 2 pizzas. Really? One for your cynicism and one because we're both Italian and you didn't care about getting me pizza on National Pizza Day.
It is rude on my part. I apologize. I don't find it accidental that it's National Pizza Day right after our big national election. So someone in our heritage is saying, come on, you know?
There you go. That's exactly right.
Thank you, my friend. Right. You're the best.
Thank you, Neil.
In the meantime, all of this shocker and whether it echoed Brexit, the man behind that who predicted this, Nigel Farage, is next. Welcome back. What are you guys doing? You know, it's National Pizza Day. And look what I'm left with. Can you see this? 3 cold slices of pizza on National Pizza Day, and I'm the Italian-American anchor. Hello? All right, so I might have had a little heart surgery, and they're trying to send me a message. This is cruel and inhuman. And I told him, you know, Nigel Farage is here. He strikes me as a pizza eater, which he doesn't. But anyway, good to see you, my friend.
Good morning.
Did you know it was in America National Pizza Day?
I have to confess, I didn't. But I'm a bit more of a red meat man myself.
Are you really? Well, there is a lot of meat here. I mean, this is the meat lovers one. You created a worldwide revolution, young man. And because it extended to what happened here. Once again, polls everywhere that seemed to show Brexit had no chance. You said it would apply to Donald Trump.
Yes.
Polls would understate his popularity. Sure enough, it played out again.
Yeah, I mean, Brexit was the first brick out of the wall. It was the first real kickback against this liberal establishment that has dominated with its friends in big business and the big banks, dominated the world for the last couple of decades. They've had everything their own way. And my sense of it is that in Britain, America, elsewhere, you know, families at dinner time have been saying, what's going on in this world? How are these people in charge? And what Brexit did was to give ordinary little people the chance to say what they thought, and they won. And it's now spread here to America with this dramatic victory of Trump. And I suspect,
you know what bothers me, though, when we see that, Nigel? I mean, it's one thing to lose, and another to lose gracefully, or just to leave the scene. I mean, those who miss the Trump phenomenon, just like those who miss Brexit and what you were talking about, they demeaned you beforehand. They demean you, and even now, after the fact, Donald Trump. These are the same people who question every step he took. If he followed all their recommendations, he'd have never gotten off that escalator. And bottom line is, he ignored them, got the support of the American people in a convincing fashion, and yet they're not stopping the dismissive coverage.
No, and they won't. But what we have to do is follow the example given to us over 30 years ago by Reagan and Thatcher. They both won sort of counter-revolution elections.
Right.
They, at no point, did the opposition and constant carping and criticism stop, and yet they just continued. And do you know what? They made the world a better place. And that's what we've now got the opportunity. Brexit, Britain getting its independence back. America.
Well, how do they feel back in Britain?
Do you know what? The media, elements of our political class keep talking about the need to run the referendum again, that we should water down the deal.
So there's always that crowd that's worried, says
oh, yes. Oh, yes.
The nomads made a mistake. We've got to correct it.
But actually, when I go out around the United Kingdom and I meet ordinary people, they are absolutely thrilled at what's happened. And they say to me, Nigel, if this government doesn't deliver the Brexit we voted for, we're taking to the streets. So there's no way, ultimately, they can stop Brexit from happening because those 17.5 million people, they really believe it.
I agree with you on that, but there's this media impression that that was a dumb move on the part. Even now,
oh, we're all stupid.
Hell will come home to pay. You're always stupid.
Oh, very stupid. Yes.
But now
yes.
I've even seen in the coverage of Donald Trump, he's getting high marks. Right, he's handled himself, but both in his victory speech and almost everything he's done since. Been very measured. But I always think there should be a honeymoon period for whoever wins. But he's just not getting that. And many in the media, rather than apologizing or that they goof, which is the closest the New York Times came this morning, they're going on to say, well, the problems he's going to face and whether he's up to the test. The guy can't win for winning.
Well, do you know what? Just look at Wall Street. You know, the stock market's taken the view
You're right.
that actually Trump has got some great ideas. And I think, to me, if he can make sure that in those first few months he cuts corporation tax, we start seeing hundreds of billions of dollars being repatriated back to the USA.
But what do you think the markets are saying? When we recover, I'm sure you were watching Fox Business, which if you don't get, Nigel and Britain, you should demand.
No, we do.
You do? Terrific. Do. So one of the things that we discovered is as the night wore on, it looked like it wasn't going to polls, that it looked like Donald Trump had a chance. Down, 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 down we went.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was as if the market had this euphoric epiphany where it just said, wait a minute, this isn't the end of the world.
Yeah, the reason the markets fell is simple. Because everybody believed the narrative, well, I didn't, but they believed the narrative that Hillary was going to win. And so their short-term trading positions were geared that way.
Right.
So what you saw was short-term
and they were unwinding it afterwards.
Stopping out, taking their
And we
losses.
should explain, markets abhor uncertainty. It's not a right or left thing. They just don't like uncertainty. And what was certain to them was the Hillary Clinton victory because they didn't get it.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, like you.
Absolutely.
So now what? The markets are welcoming President Trump, thinking he's going to move fast and furious.
And he's got some good ideas. You know,
but he has to implement them quickly, or what do you think?
Well, I think, to me, if he starts to get the economic measures in place, then he can work on the rest of his agenda. But sending that big signal that he's pushing for jobs and for growth, do that, and then he can do what he wants.
You know, he's a very pragmatic businessman, and I always think, you know, the kind I saw on the stump didn't always jive with the businessmen over the many, many years, because I think businessmen and women tend to be about getting stuff out of their inbox and getting stuff done. So that's the part that might tick some people off. Already, conservatives this morning were saying, wait a minute, is he backtracking on getting rid of Obamacare? No, it seemed from the 60 Minutes interview, is clarifying, I want to keep features of it I like those with pre-existing conditions, et cetera. But that's the kind of pressure you face, right? That as you start implementing what you want to do, you're going to tick some people off, right?
But he'll be pragmatic, and if his stance changes a little bit on Obamacare, provided he brings the price of it down, it doesn't really matter.
You know, that's genius.
You know?
If I wish I had more pizza for you, but not happening. All right, Nigel Farage, you're not a very big pizza eater, but you'll consider it when you're here, right?
I'll consider it, and I'm pleased to be here, and I look forward to the USA and the UK getting back to the kind of relationship.
How do you think that will go? How do you think that will go?
Trump is an Anglophile. You know, he understands and recognises what our two great nations have done together between us, and thank goodness we're coming towards the end of an American president.
But are you kind of like that ambassador, that link to your Prime Minister Theresa May and a Donald Trump, because they're a bit apart on some big issues?
Well, yeah. I mean, Mrs. May's team have been quite rude about Trump, so there are some fences to be mended.
No, they've been really rude.
No, I get that. If
I were him, I wouldn't meet with her. No, you can't do that.
Well, I think he's got to meet her.
Really?
Yeah, I do. And I mean, come on. You know, one of the things we can do is we can have, between us, a sensible trade relationship, cut tariffs.
We'll let bygones be bygones.
We're massive investors in each other's countries. There's a bright future.
All right, Nigel, bring a pizza, though, when you go. It's a universal language and universal food. All right, Nigel Farage, this is the guy who started a revolution, and now it is worldwide. A little more to this. All right, so much news going on here. With my appearance today on this fine network, I have now made up for all the days I missed in the summer, maybe one or two of them, I don't know. But we were thinking what a journey this has been. From the very, very beginning, when we hosted the first debate for FBN, and then another debate, and then all the states we went to, and then that little disruption in the summer, and I got my chest, and it was really painful. And now, here we are. President-elect Trump. A lot more than that we're going to show and take you back in time. It's going to be like, that's just a little reference I want to see if you're up on culturally. You're probably up on the reference to this campaign this week. And a lot of folks who are not very happy with the results. Grubhub's CEO coming on and saying essentially that if any of his workers are embracing this new stuff with Donald Trump, just write your resignation letter. Well, the stock began tanking because people said, who is this ass? All of a sudden, he kind of dials it back and says, no, you're free to speak your mind, just still write that letter. It was confusing. It bothered a lot of people. The Grubhub dude didn't realize that there are other places you can order food, and now he is scared out of his you-know-what. But again, this is something we see at a lot of companies. Kadena Group President Gary B. Smith, Fortune Magazine's Adam Lashinsky, Fox Business Network's Kennedy, to sort of chew on all of that on National Pizza Day. Did you know it was National Pizza Day, Kennedy?
Yeah, I found out the hard way, Neil. Looking at food I can't eat. Thank you very much for twisting some of those wounds into my small intestine.
Well, unfortunately, they're great staff, they're great tech staff, but apparently they have the appetite of King Kong because I have 3 slices left, and it's very old and cold.
I bequeath mine to Gary.
Really?
I guess so.
That's horrific. What do you make of this and this reaction? Well, not National Pizza Day, we'll get into that in a second, but this reaction on certainly the Grubhub guy. But there have been others, the high-tech CEOs who didn't do anything quite so tacky, but more or less said, okay, we have to respect the will of the people.
And for most of these people, lightning struck for them once and they became instant billionaires. They've got generational money. They'll never have to worry again. Therefore, they'll never have to be in touch with the common, dirty, simple, filthy, coach-flying man. And so they can be completely dismissive of anyone else's personal philosophies or background or their personal history and just assume that everyone else wants to glom onto a cronyist, democratic, big government system that really appeases companies like Apple and Box and Grubhub.
You have to move into the love stage now. It's over. We all have to embrace.
Clearly.
Yeah. And Adam, I don't see that coming out of Kenny. She's a sore winner, it sounds like to me.
No. Yeah, it appears that way. Well, I don't think that corporate CEOs need to be sore winners or sore losers.
They need to
shut up. Smart ones.
They need to shut up.
I'm sorry?
They need to shut up.
Look, from a shareholder, responsibility perspective, I completely agree with you. What they need to do is they need to fake it the way the president-elect and the president faked it last week. I mean, these are 2 men who, for very good reasons, detest each other. And what did they do? They faked it in front of the cameras, in front of each other, for the good of the country. And these CEOs have to do the same thing for the good of their companies. It's just stupid to be insulting their own customers.
Did the Grubhub guy know that some of the people who order food off of his site are Republicans as well? I mean, he had to.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. All right. Well, he makes me vomit. Gary,
he knows now.
Gary, yeah, exactly. Gary, I mean, I kid a little to say we all have our own political impressions and opinions. I think if you're, Tim Cook, I think if you, or Zuckerberg, you've got to be aware that you also have a lot of users and a lot of people who see you as a pace setter. And so you don't want to get in the way of that or alienate or risk alienating people, right?
Exactly. I think for a lot of these CEOs, they had a kind of momentum into, hey, I'm pro-Hillary, I'm a lefty, this is all good, I can hang with my Hollywood friends. And then they woke up on election day and they go, oh, my God, I just realized the real president is my income statement, or at least my share price. And wow, I better pay attention to that because it's a new world out there. And what do we have? Probably on Facebook, I'm guessing there's at least 50% of their users voted for Donald Trump. And listen, Zuckerberg's a zillionaire now, but he doesn't want to be a half a zillionaire, I'm sure. And if nothing else, he's got a board of directors.
They didn't go crazy beforehand, Adam, and I'll give them that. I mean, the Grubhub guy was a unique ass, so I don't want to put all these others in that company. And we do know certain industries have certain friends in the White House. I think it's fair to say if you're in the oil industry, you like Republicans. If you're high tech, you generally like Democrats. But I do think that it sends a message that's bad. And Kennedy, that's what bothered me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate what Mark Zuckerberg was saying, which was, we really just have to focus on our own individual lives. And a lot of people feel that way. And when you get mired in this emotional and verbal violence and animosity, it halts progress. And, I understand with immigration, there are a lot of tech CEOs that have questions about, some of those higher-end visas bringing more skilled workers into their company.
They say they can't find them here.
Well, that may be true, and that's what the marketplace does.
But that's a legitimate beef, and that's something that they found more sympathy, Adam, from a Democrat than they did a Republican. What do you make of that?
On the immigration issue, Neil?
Yeah.
I mean, in the tech industry anyway, they're looking for, the top 1% of the 1% in terms of people with technical skills. I mean, that's the reality world that they're dealing in as far as where they're looking for top technical talent.
Gary, what do you think? The top 1% of the top 1%, it sounds like they're applying for a Fox Business position.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I think they're going to have to adapt. I mean, what we've seen from Trump so far is that he is more already kind of maybe moving a little to the middle, and I think the smart CEO will start to work with his administration to fix their problems.
He wants to get stuff done, and Kenny, I could be wrong, but I think he's all about pragmatism. Let's get stuff done.
Yeah. I mean, that's a nice thing about having a non-politician is perhaps he will set a completely different pair of eyeballs on these problems, and he'll listen to smart people who say, wait, this is the best way to get this part of the economy going, and even if these people are here from different countries, they're still paying taxes, they're paying property taxes and sales taxes and the like.
Yeah. All right. Guys, I want to thank all of you. We'll see what happens here. In the meantime, days after the most consequential election in human history, where's my pizza? This is what I got, folks. This is what I got. The same 3 slices. Furthermore, my friend Joe Concha is here. So Joe and I probably would have appreciated a little pizza, right, Joe? But
what is the difference between an Ashton Kutcher movie and a pizza?
What is the difference?
Pizzas are good.
Ooh, touche.
Those things are like hockey pucks, though. You got to heat those up.
Yeah,
it's a little... Yeah, Hoboken pizza, by the way, is the way you want to go.
It's so offensive to me, but I'm carrying on. But I'm not going to protest. I'm not going to go outside and riot about it.
That's probably a smart idea.
See how I sort of veer that?
Yeah, that's called a pivot in this business.
That's a pivot,
right?
Exactly. The New York Times pivoted.
Yes.
New York Times pivoted today. Do we have this, Pan? This is the closest you will ever see to the gray lady blinking. We aim to dedicate ourselves to the fundamental mission of Times journalism. That is to report America and the world honestly without fear or favor, acknowledging that they might have maybe screwed up a few things, like when it came to Donald Trump, everything. But look, you have to crawl before you can walk. But they've got a lot of company, right?
Isn't that interesting that they're doing a mea culpa now, Neil, when their editor-in-chief, Dean Baquet, he's the executive editor there, he runs the show. He said a month and a half ago he was willing to go to jail for 5 years, even if that meant illegally obtaining Donald Trump's tax documents. This is the paper of record. And you're saying, I want to take down a candidate even if it means giving up my personal freedom. So that tells you how phony that is.
This is the same paper that made a big deal of the emails, that they all of a sudden the Russians were the ones, making this happen.
Trivia. When was the last time the New York Times endorsed a Republican candidate for president?